I needed air. Real air. The argument hit like a thunderclap inside the house. Voices clipping corners, patience shredding thin. Before silence could even put its boots on, I had keys in hand, jaw tight, door closed behind me. Tuesday, midweek, just after 8 p.m. The kind of night where normal people have already shut the world out, kissed their misgivings goodnight, and left the backroads to the trivia of owls and bad decisions. I drove up the canyon road just outside town. No cars behind, no headlights ahead. Just twisting pavement pressed between cliffs and shadows stacked like static. Windows down, cold wind rinsing the argument off my skin. The kind of cold that feels like a reset button, until you realize you've reset into the wrong menu. For a moment, maybe even two, I breathed like it mattered. Then, almost. Halfway up the canyon, headlights brushing curves like pale fingers. Then, something. Standing, just inside the shoulder, just inside the beam. A shape, tall, crooked, unfinished, unfiled, unnamed. No time to classify because in the same heartbeat, boom! Impact like punctuation, thrown from a mountain, with intent. Metal folding inward, frame shuddering, tires scrambling toward guardrail theology. The smell of burned rubber filling the night like something older than highways, but younger than fear itself. I heaved the wheel back. Too far. Corrected again. Not enough. And still, somehow, the car stayed on the road. The canyon did not clap. It did not gasp. It just noted. I rolled to a stop a few hundred feet downhill. Engine off, headlights still burning forward like they were too scared to blink first. I stepped out, boots pressing gravel. The car was wounded, bumper peeled inward, grille groaning quietly, radiator hissing its obituary into the cold. What I hit should be here. A deer, a dog, a rock, a reason. But there was nothing. No fur, no blood, no branches bowed, no shape left behind. Just the damage. Just the witness. Just the truth without an alibi. Then I saw it. On the hood. Centered. Balanced. Still. A tiny black dream catcher. No bigger than a coin. Hand-woven, black feathers, slight sway from the wind my car had stirred moments earlier. I picked it up gently between my fingers. Then, the canyon inhaled, paused. The air went sterile, thin, alert, and a scream exploded behind me. One single detonation of sound, high, violent, brief, like a warning label printed at full volume. My hand snapped open. The dream catcher dropped onto the dented hood with a tiny, sharp click. No magic, no curse, no talking animals. Just conclusion, just presence, just punctuation. I got back in the car and jammed the key. The engine growled reluctantly, but caught, front end whining as I forced it into motion. Down the canyon I drove. Not fast at first, then faster again. Not racing a sound this time, racing the sudden knowledge that the canyon had made a note of me. The higher I climbed, the tighter the road had felt. But descending, it felt worse. Like the canyon walls didn't rush past me, but stood still, watching me move between them. Like shapes were gathering in the dark of the rear view, though nothing ever showed itself fully. like I could feel eyes without reflection, like I was the only thing in the equation that had changed positions that night. A pressure building in the silence, a dread without shape, a weight without source, a thought that shouldn't exist unless something else had survived the collision I didn't see. No chasing sound, no footsteps, no monster reveal, just the slow, creeping understanding that if something wanted to be seen, it already would be. And the fact it didn't was the point. My pulse hammered anyway, adrenaline flickering like data corruption moving through my veins. Every curve down feeling longer than the one before. Time stretching wide, thin, elastic. Snapping back only when I hit the straightaway at the canyon floor. Streetlights finally overhead. Civilization finally back in range. Breath finally returning like someone unpaused the world. I glanced down at the crumpled bumper wobbling in the reflection. And for the first time since the argument, I felt small, for reasons that had nothing to do with family. Because family arguments echo through houses. But canyons? They pause first. Then they echo back. And sometimes the echo isn't answering you at all. Sometimes it's just saying, I saw you. I've driven highways at night for over a decade, and usually the miles just blur quiet. Caffeine, sleeping kids, the hum of tires. But the night we tried to reach family in Montana, it hit different. We left Texas at 8:46 p.m. SUV packed, my wife riding shotgun, both kids asleep behind us, blankets half slipped, soft snores rising and falling, without a clue what kind of night shift the highway had clocked in for us. It started somewhere near the Colorado-New Mexico border past Raton. Fog showed first. Thick, rolling, fast, ground-borne, swallowing visibility to nothing useful. 20 feet? 10? 5? A semi appeared too late in the beams, sideways, skidding, then folding into an awful jackknife across both lanes, the trailer groaning like steel under regret. Dead stop. No way through. A cattle trailer hooked to the accident truck, busted open. Animals scattering blind into fog soup, chaotic shadows balling into nothingness before the sound was snatched away by the mist. Then I saw movement on the shoulder, a man half crawling, jeans soaked night should have legally allowed. Gravel crunched beneath boots. I knelt down beside him, cut the ties, hand trembling once, maybe twice. He exhaled, long, shaking, relieved but still afraid. They took the driver from the wreck, he murmured. After the crash, my lungs tightened. My wife went still. The fog blanket around us felt aware, hunting without theater. I helped him up and walked back to the SUV. No questions asked, just motion agreed on without debate. We found a narrow shoulder path around the wreck, creeping past chaos and cattle silhouettes, my heart thudding slow in my ribcage, bracing for follow-up that never presented itself, which made it feel worse. By 12 minutes past our escape, real sirens finally stabbed the fog behind us, ordinary rescue arriving embarrassingly late, verifying nothing except that we were smart enough not to wait for sounds to agree on danger. We drove until 4:07 a.m., reaching Alliance, Nebraska. A stranded 24-hour truck stop glow stood firm against the creeping morning light. Proper stalls, cameras, semis parked. Ordinary logic returning slowly. I pulled into Pilot Travel Center, parking beneath harmless lights. The man sat upright now, wrists raw, shoulders knotted, exhaustion clearer than panic, but awareness still shimmering faintly in his posture. My brother has a ranch 12 miles west, he said. I handed him my phone. He typed the address. Quiet precision. No theatrics. Just survival logistics. 90 seconds later, we were rolling again, north through 385, toward the gravel turnoff he marked. I slowed, parked, unlocked the doors. He stepped out, boots heavy, breath still valid proof he was here. I nodded once. "Take care of yourself." He lifted a hand faintly. "You too." No speeches, no cryptic philosophy, just human exchange, brief, honest, unfinished. Because horror doesn't stay long enough to wrap its own conclusion when the conclusion is simply movement away from the fog's audit on whether we were all supposed to reach dawn at all. I pulled away from the turnout, gravel whispering beneath tires, sunrise finally painting harmless sky again, and the miles ahead felt explainable, ordinary, safe, which, after a night like that, felt like enough victory for all of us. Night driving doesn't hum. It waits. It listens. It studies your breath when you think no one else is awake to notice. I left the house at 11:17 p.m. No plan, just miles to outrun the argument still ringing in my skull. The highway accepted me like a lock accepting a key it didn't ask for. Quiet, indifferent, observant. At 12:03 a.m., the sign for Rancho Verde, population 289, flicked past. Paint peeling, reflective edges chipped, numbers faint like old memories. No lights, no cars, no proof of wakeful souls. The kind of town that sleeps so deeply it almost feels removed from the world. Minutes later, an unmarked rest area appeared. Gravel lot, picnic table, soda machine buzzing under a single heavy bulb that flickered slowly, methodically, like a tired eye trying not to close. Out here, lights don't flicker like warnings. They flicker like invitations. And parked far enough back to be avoidable, a station wagon. Old, faded tan, small enough to feel insignificant, but present enough to feel intentional. Someone was in the driver's seat, upright, forward-facing, unmoving, not sleeping, not fidgeting, not scrolling a glowing screen, just sitting in the silence like it already belonged to them. I drove past without interrogation, curiosity, or kindness. You don't question stillness on a road that feels like it heard you coming before your tires did. At 1:13 a.m., headlights surfaced in my mirror, slowly rolling in at a normal speed powered by abnormal patience. A dusty Jeep Grand Cherokee. No weaving lane lines, no brights, no intimidation. Just presence settled into position behind me like someone choosing the proper distance to watch, not pass by. I tapped the brakes once. Gentle, careful, normal. They slowed smoothly, calmly. The distance corrected itself quietly, like someone fully awake and proving it, which is worse than mimicry, scarier than panic. Observation without urgency is its own form of menace. The spacing resumed, perfect, unwavering, chosen. Then, at 1:22 a.m., the Jeep eased back, relaxed its attention, and disappeared from the story at a pace that felt like a decision rather than an accident. And then it was gone. The road behind me grew teeth again, the silent kind, the mental kind. At 2:47 a.m., that pressure hit my ears again. A quick internal roar, like rising too fast except my body hadn't moved. No elevation change, no speed bump, just sensation, sharp and instant. A quiet reminder that being alone can still feel watched without providing evidence. I tightened my grip on the wheel. By 3:51 a.m., the dark was uninterrupted, unapologetic, sovereign. A semi passed in the opposite direction, a normal diesel hauler, loud enough to be real, rumbling over asphalt with the comfortable imperfection of reality attached to physics. The engine sound mixed properly with bumps, compression, and downshift growl. Real. Comfortingly real. Which made the silence behind me feel improper by comparison. Then, at 3:52 a.m., headlights reappeared in my mirror again. No approach, no fade-in, just already there when I happened to glance again. A lifted truck. Ordinary branding, nothing supernatural, nothing cinematic. Just a real vehicle, sitting in position behind me at a calm cruising speed, spaced for situational awareness and silent analysis. Not rushing, not drifting, not signaling a pass, just holding pace like intent was already set, like distance wasn't earned, it was assigned. 9 long minutes passed like this. No honking, no light flashes, no overt aggression. Just a truck choosing patience over motion, observation over destination, accompaniment over explanation. And accompaniment without a reason is the darkest language the road speaks. Then it slowed, gradually, committing to a gravel spur on the right that never earned a sign, turning off with quiet confidence, then accelerating into unlit desert emptiness without negotiating narrative drama or offering storytelling courtesy. I kept driving, past morning, past reason, past relief, until daylight finally returned mortality to the road, messiness to silence, equal opportunity to physics, until tire noise was just tire noise again, and not an interrogation of breathing patterns I hadn't agreed to upload. Coffee tasted safe once the sun fully took control, but dread doesn't roar. It pauses, cabinets, observes. The road doesn't hum after midnight. It holds its breath. And sometimes, so do you.